everyone, BuilderBro07 here, and today we're going to be learning about variables in Ev3. Now, this may seem like a hard topic, but I promise you we'll go slowly and step by step so you can learn to the maximum benefit of your knowledge. Let's begin. Today's lesson objectives are to learn about different types of variables and learn how to read and write to variables. And what you need to know before this is data wires, which you covered in the last lesson, the color sensor, display blocks, and weight blocks, which we have all covered before in our videos, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. And here's an additional tool, wire display blocks. So there are multiple parts of a wire display block, as you can see, and this is text to be displayed, and if you click on field to choose wired, it pops up like that, and this is text applied on a wire. So this is a text which is right here. This is erase screen before the display, and that has a check mark. You can tweak it just like a check mark X, just like for brake or coast for the move steering block. This is column to start display, which is X. This is row to start display, which is Y. So it's like kind of like X and Y coordinates if you are there in math already. And if you're not, it's just like what mathematicians use when they're doing X and Y. So let me search up, like for a plane, it would be, let's say, follow my mouse here. This would be the Y, and this would be the X. X is like the distance, Y is like the height. But that's sort of reversed here, I think. But that's fine. So black or white text, so this one's X, and text size. So 0 is small font, 1 is small bold font, and 2 is large font. And variables. What is a variable? Well, variable stores a value that you can use later in your program. Think of it like a notepad or a box that holds a value for you. And variables in Ev3 are similar to variables in math. So coding in general has lots of connections with math in the real world, and Ev3 is similar to that. You can name the variable whenever you want, and you can define the type of variable: numeric, logic, text, numeric array, and logic array. So numeric holds a number, while logic holds true or false. So that's two conditions. And text holds lines of text like hello world, or you can do any text you want. Numeric array holds a set of numbers 1, 2, 3, 10, 55, etc. Whatever math you want to hold, or whatever numbers you want to hold. And logic arrays hold a set of logic: true, true, false. So it's just a combination of true or false, and this is just a combination of numbers from numeric array and logic array. So they can be used as either inputs or outputs. So you can either write, put a value into the variable, or retrieve the last value written to the variable. So why variables? Well, they're an easy way to transfer data across code without too many data wires. You can also use variables to transfer data into a my block without an input. A variable, for example, a variable for wheel size and move inches, you probably do not want this to be an input since it rarely changes. You may also use the value in other locations and want to change it just in one spot. So variables are really, really convenient, and they're really easy to transfer data. And array variables can store multiple data items without needing several wires of variables. So this can make it very easy and very clean, and make your code very, very easy to read. And having too many data wires or variables makes your code messy. So that helps out a lot. Variable blocks. Writes, inputs basically. So remember, write is an input, have a bump up. So like think of it like this is like going into something, numeric text and numeric logic and text, and read outputs have a bump down. So what happens is that this output goes into something, while this it kind of contains it, and it's basically the opposite. Use the key above to identify if the variables are inputs or outputs, and if they're number, numeric, logic, or text. So read, numeric, write, numeric. Do you know why? Because read is bump down, write is bump up. So I think you guys probably understand that. And here's a tip. You can change the type of variable at the bottom left part of the block. When you display logic to the screen, it will show 1 for true or 0 for false. And here are outputs of different types of variables. write to the variable. And can you guess which one of these do? This one writes to the variable. And here we display the value of the variable to the screen. So what basically happens is that they write the variable and then it's a number. In this case, numeric, write numeric. And this number is right here. So it's just two different blocks. And it writes it, and then this is read, the same exact number. So 10 goes here. And then it inserts right here, so it will display 10 on the screen. And logic, if it's X, then it is basically, as you guys see here, X is 0, which is false. So that's why you display 0 on the screen, because X, if you think of something like it's wrong, then it's false. So that should be 0, and then it will display 0 on the screen right here. And as you see here, let me zoom up, they can fit into different spots. So as you see here, here's a triangle. It can fit into a rectangle. So I know that, and right here there's a circle, half circle. So I know that can be kind of confusing, but trust me, over time you'll start to understand. So be sure to watch this video multiple times if you ever have questions, or just leave it in the comment section down below and I'll answer you for right away. Don't be afraid to ask. Everybody has questions, and questions can help you learn. And at the end of all these, there's a wait block, and this one says write hello, and then it displays that text into the display block, and it says hello on the screen. So we have a couple of challenges here, challenge 1 and challenge 2, and we'll be doing challenge 1 today, and you can do challenge 2 by yourself, and we'll be going step by step so you guys can understand a bit more. So let's head over to the Lego Mindstorms app, and as you see here, I have variables listed already, and give me a second to pull it up as I try to, okay? So as you see here, what we want to do first is we want to grab a variable block, which is, I think I just lost it, but you want a variable block, which is first in the data operations, which is a red kind of color. And then what you want to do is that you want to make sure, give me a second, you want to make sure that it is right, because right is, it is used for the input. So we're going to input a numeric number. In this case, it's going to be 0. And then we can add a variable and we can call it a variable. Okay? So then what you want to do is actually no, let's just call it number, just to make things simple. So number. So as you guys see here, you guys can have multiple variables, number, variable, whatever, and both of them, yeah. So in this case, we're going to choose number, and then what you want to do is, because we are doing the challenge, which is, can you make a program that displays the number of times that you've clicked the up button on your Ev3 Mindstorms? So what you want to, so this basically initializes the variable, sets start value to 0. So what I mean by that is, let me get a comment block, which we learned before. And what you want to do is you want to say that it initializes variable set start value to 0. So let's go here. Initialize value set start. Wait, let me think about it. Initialize variable set start value to 0. Initialize variable set start value to 0. Why is that? Because this number is 0 and this is the input, so the start value is 0. And then what you want to do is you want to display the starting value. So by displaying the starting value, we just set it to 0. And how we want to do that is that we want to grab the same exact block and we want to drag it out. And then we want to take this to read numeric, because this is now an output, and we want to grab a display block right here and click, let me see, text grid. I'm pretty sure we want to do text grid. And after you want to do that, what you want to do is, let's set the font to 2, which is the large, and then we want to set the X, let's just say 5, and the Y 4. And or 5. And then what you want to do then is you want to display this, and let me think. We want to display the variable in the screen, which let's say we want to display it in the text, which is not working for some reason. Give me a second. Oh, we need number? No. So what we want to do is we want to display it in the text, and we want to display it in the starting value. So what we want to do is we want to do wired, as you see there. That's what happened. So what we want to do is you want to change this to wired. By doing that, all we want to do is change it like that. And so what comes as default, let me just drag another block. What comes as default, if you choose text grid, is that it says Mindstorms. You want to change it to wired like that. So then you can drag it in here. That's why I was getting a bit confused. But after you do that, it's 5, everything's. And then what happens here is you're displaying the starting value. So right here, you're displaying the starting value. And that looks a little bit squished, so you can just do that. So right here, it is displaying the starting value for these two blocks. And if you just press on this, it extends, so you can be a little bit more organized. And you can just click back to do that. So this is initializing the variable, sets start value to 0, and this is displaying the start value on Ev3 screen. And as you see there, we have just did that. And then what we have to do is we have to wait until the up button is pressed, and then we can start counting it. So what we want to do first is, looks like we want to create a loop, because we need to repeat it infinitely because it keeps on counting how many times it started. You can always change that until like after 5 times pressed, then you just stop the robot or whatever you want to do, but we're going to keep it as infinite for right now. So what you want to do is you want to take a wait block and a loop block. So take the loop block out, and then take the wait block, and then go to break buttons, compare break buttons, I believe. Maybe change. Give me a second. And it is compare, because most times you're going to use compare for scenarios like these. So then what you want to do is you want to change it to the up button. So give me a second. 4, and we have to change it to pressed, because we are counting the times that it is pressed and not the times that it is like bumped or whatever. And then what we want to do is take one more of the variable blocks after we comment on this code. So let's comment on this code, as you see here. So wait until the up button is pressed, as you see there. And then what we want to do is we want to take another variable button and name it number, right? And then we want to change this to read numeric, like so. And then what happens is that we have to add 1 to the variable, then write it back. So after the wait block is ended, because the button has been pressed, that means we have to add 1 to the count in total. So how we do that is we need a math block. So we want to grab a math block, which is 5th from left, in the same tab, and we want to add 1 to the variable, or 1 to the number that we set as the variable. So how we're going to do that is you can do 1 plus b, or in this case we're just going to do the variable plus 1, because this is an adding block, so this adds 1 to the count. And then what you want to do is you want to take that and set that as the new variable. And by doing so, that means you'll change the variable by adding 1 to it. So let's take another variable block and name it number. And then we want to take that and do that. So overall, this adds 1 to the variable, then writes it back to the variable. So now let's comment on it again. I might have to zoom out of this very soon because we're running out of space, but So what happens here is that it adds 1 to the variable item, then writes it back. So adds 1 to the variable and then writes it back. So and then writes it back. So we're gonna extend this and we're gonna press zoom out. So this is zoom out, minimize, and this is the pan, so you can drag the screen anywhere. We learned about that in one of our first couple of lessons, so be sure to check that out if you're sort of confused how I did all that magic. And then what you want to do is you want to also print the value to the screen. So after you add 1 to it, like right here, what you want to do is you want to add the value back to the screen. So what we'll need for this is we'll need a display block. And then we'll need text grid, like so. And then after you have done that, you guys might not know this, but you can drag multiple outputs, and you can drag multiple outputs somewhere. So basically, we can do multiple outputs from one output to another place. So what we're doing is that we are putting it into text. So we're putting it into the text block right here, I believe, and we'll do something like this after we do wired, as you guys can see. Not make the same mistake twice, and voila, you put it right there, and then you can make it 5, 5 again, same everything else, and that will work. Though it will not, because I realized earlier. See, as you see, if you disconnect it, the rest of the program does not match. I realized earlier that it would not work because none of the other stuff are in the loop. So we have to quickly change that. So let's put it in the loop, and let's set all the variables again. So I don't know why this is getting all tangly and messed up, but so what we want to do, give me a second, let me just grab it again over here. Oops, that's not what we're supposed to do. So what we were supposed to do was we want to take this output and put it right here, add 1 to it, and take this and put it right here, and take this output with the added 1 and put it back in the text, and repeat that infinitely. So this adds 1, waits until the up button is pressed, this adds 1 to the variable and then writes it back, and this displays it on the screen. So displays the updated number on the EVD screen. So we'll do something like so, stretch it out again, and since this repeats infinitely, it should work. So let's connect to our robot and let's find out if it actually works. So I'm starting off my robot, and now what you want to make sure is that you first turn on your robot, and then you press refresh, or not working, you have to press refresh multiple times. And as you see here, our program should be pretty much done. You guys can change these X and Y's to see where it actually displays on your robot, because right now it is just displaying at X5 and Y5. And as you see here, it just started up. And now we can press refresh for our robot to find our robot. And as you guys, this is the challenge 1. If you guys want to do challenge 2, then you can head over to the ev3lessons.com website. Let me pull it up really quickly. Give me a second. You guys can head on over to the ev3lessons.com website and check out more for yourself. As you see here, you guys can check it out for yourself, and credits go to them, ev3lessons.com website. And now let's head back to see if they found my robot, and yes, they did. So that's very good. Let's connect to it, and it'll say connecting, as you guys can see here, and then we can show you on the EV3 screen. So as you see there, it is connected, and what we want to do next is we want to run the program, which I will off camera. and you should hear that sound. So as you see here, it says 0, as you guys can see. I press it once, which is the up button, not the middle button. 1, 2. As you guys can see, it's not working. So let's go back. It says 1 right now, but let's go back and see if we made any errors. So this is all about what happens in Ev3, and it happens all the time, and this is why we need debugging, like I said in the last video. So let's see what happened. So we added 1, and if this doesn't work, let's see what happened by going to the ev3lesson.com website and looking at the solution. So if you're stuck, we can just go to the solution. So it looks like we did everything correctly up until this point, and wait until the up button is pressed. We took the number and added imprint value to the screen, and we repeated infinitely. I don't see what we did wrong personally. You guys can leave that in the comment section below if you guys find out what we did wrong. But it's been Build Bro 07. We can always perfect this program in the future and build on, and have a great day, and see you in the next video.